Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Happy Good Friday, Warriors. Hope you guys are doing well today. Hope you guys are on your purpose. Hope you guys are doing what we need to do to kind of keep the battle going and keep battling on, as I always say. Battle on! So, I didn't get a chance to actually go through all the shout-outs. I'm going to do this weekend, but there's a couple more videos that I want to do before we get to the new ones. And one of these is going to talk about that Charles Peake sent us. Good comment he made here. He said, dominated by the lower chakras. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But first, just a great, thank you guys for all the comments, all the likes, donations, subscriptions. I always continue to feel blessed that you guys doing that, especially during these seasons that we have and the things that are going on in our society. Just craziness, but again, showing you that I think the matrix is starting to be shown, and the blue matrix is starting to be something that people are aware of. And we're talking specifically about the semen retention area, but obviously there's a lot of other areas out there that people are beginning to recognize that are not what they've been portrayed to be for many, many years. So, as we talk about this at about 1 minute and 30 seconds here, let's talk about Charles's comment, a very insightful one, I would say, talking about the chakras. Now, you go back to what we're talking about. I go back to Kendler's book, The Fountain of Youth, which I always try to mention, if I can, each video, because it is something that is important. I've been doing this since 1998, and I felt tremendous with it. I haven't gotten the full benefits of it until I went to the last exercise, which I started doing more over the last, I would say probably the last, I don't know, now it's 1,045 days, something like that. But I've been doing more of that now, and I'm getting a lot more benefits now than I did before. So it's really a case of actually just kind of understanding the concept here. Now, you may or may not totally agree with this concept, but it makes sense on many levels. And I think a lot of you guys are kind of responding back to things about energy and things that we're talking about. If you realize in physics, and I do teach physics during the day, if you do realize in physics that matter, it cannot be really created or destroyed, matter and energy is around us no matter what. So you look at the trees, you look at the things around us, we have energy. Whereas we have energy all the time. We are energy. Everything is energy. If you take away all the faces, if you take away all the bodies and all the cars and everything you're looking at, we're all going to be made up of energy. It's an illusion of what we're looking like, because it's really not who we are. Yes, you look like a certain person. Your face looks like a certain thing, but what you really have is a bunch of energy inside of you. And that's where we talk about the difference between the spirit and the flesh. The spirit is really what controls your nature, or should control your nature. But what ends up happening is that the body, which is very weak compared to the spirit, is what the Bible tells us all the time, can get controlled and manipulated very easily. And so if you're not strong in spirit, you can be, as Charles says, dominated by the flesh. And what he's basically saying is you're dominated by the lower chakras, which is your reproductive area. So in a quick summary, the chakras actually kind of, there's several of them that goes right down the middle of the body. This is why your core is very important. But for the reason of doing those exercises that Kendler teaches, you can kind of increase those chakras so they keep spinning and moving, thereby allowing you to continue to stay at your own level and pace, which is why you don't age as quickly. That's what the idea is, and I believe the idea. I believe it because I've done this since 1998, and I was about 35, 38 years old, something like that. And so as I hear a lot of you guys commenting, a lot of you guys mentioned that I do look like I'm still in the early 40s and things like that, which is wonderful because I'm 61 going on 62 in June, and I just feel like it's been a benefit. Now, I didn't get the full benefit of all this myself until I started doing this over the last 1,040 some days, where I started doing the retention and I started transmuting back up through my body. That's when I got the real power, and now it's kind of overloaded to the point where now, it's hard to control sometimes. The power, even at my age, is hard to control. But see, it doesn't really matter about age, because the Kettler's fountain youth and the semen retention stuff we're talking about is not really age bound. It's more of controlling your energy. Yes, we are all going to get old someday, and how that happens really kind of depends on you and what type of life you live. And so really what Charles is kind of really saying is that we have to understand that temptation and those type of things being controlled by the lower chakras can really kind of hurt us in many different ways. And obviously we know the physical way, but there's also psychological and emotional and spiritual, because if all you're thinking about is that, and chasing women around, and all I think about is women all day long, or pictures of women and things like that, then you're not going to accomplish anything and you're not going to get anything done. The key is to have a balance. Like in anything else, moderation is the key. But the key really is that there's nothing wrong with having a strong sexual energy. I think certainly Napoleon Hill would say that you need to have one of those. And many of us do have it. I mean, almost all the people who are subscribing, we have that strong energy. That's not the question. The question is, are we dominated by it to the point where we can't function well, or we're weak, or we're losing energy all the time? Or are we using that energy for the most part and moving it up? Now, we're all, everybody's going to make mistakes, and we always get back to the point where you're going to release at times. Those things happen. But the question really becomes is, are you in your mindset living a lifestyle in which you are moving towards goals, you're moving towards self-excellence, self-discipline? Discipline is the key with all of this. And can you have the discipline to be able to say, okay, I can control this most of the time? And basically, you'd like to control all the time, but at least, people, in many of our cases, the reason why we do all this is because it is a gradual process. It took me 47 years to get to the point of controlling at least most of it. I can't tell you that with monk mode, there's not times that I fall back. That happens. You have 40 some years of this kind of a habit. It's not easy to break this right away. So I'm on a journey, just like all of you guys are, warriors, on different things that we see and it happen. So my journey is a little bit different on this part, because I'm doing my monk mode right now. But still, we're all in different paths, and we'll all get there. A lot of you guys are in your 20s, and I'm 61. So I kind of moved. I had to go through all those stages to get to the point where I'm now. But the key thing that I didn't do is I gave up. I knew there was something to all of this, and I knew the idea was self-control. And so I think a lot of the Eastern philosophies hit it right in the head when it comes to brahmacharya and Sufism, looking at this whole idea of controlling yourself to the point where you're not just releasing your energy, or, as Charles is saying, being dominated by the lower chakra. The lower chakras obviously is your temptation and getting aroused all the time and releasing all the time, and you're not really controlling it yourself. Now, the key is, obviously, is to kind of get immersed into other types of things so that women become a low priority. And I'm not saying that to demean women, because a lot of great things that women do, and men need women just like women need men. But you cannot be dominated by that lower chakra thinking about women all day long. You become what, like some of my students talk about, as being thirsty. And you don't want to have people being thirsty, right? You want to make sure that people are, living their life the best they can and achieving the best possible way under God that they can. And so, being that, you're actually able to control your nature enough to say, look, I'm not going to be tempted by that. I'm going to kind of move ahead. I'm going to use this energy the best way I can to transmute and get things done. And then that's going to be my answer to this. I have immense number of control. You have a lot of power. The superpower is amazing within yourself. But the thing is, what you have to do is be able to transmute that into something else, and into a goal, into some sort of pattern of behavior in which you're creating good habits and not bad habits. So the chakras we're talking about through the exercises, and I've done videos on the exercises, perhaps I'll do another one at some point, is the ones that we talk about up in the head and lowering to the body, but moving towards the fascia and the throat, all these type of things you're talking about with the chakras. that you're going to go ahead and look at. Now, what is chakra again? Just in summary, a chakra is a spinning type of whirl of energy that goes around and around. And that energy is what we function with. And all our molecules, we are like spinning whirls. If you kind of take a look and get away from all the flesh and bones and everything we see, we are very much energy. And that energy needs to keep going and become stronger. It's almost like strengthening that energy. And for instance, when you do the right number 1, which is spinning around, you're continuing to get that rotating. If you combine the other ones, the combination of these has been passed down through thousands of ages, are effective together in trying to keep yourself, those chakras, all moving. And the more they move, the not the younger you stay, but you stay at the same level you are. Now, in a sense, you're going to be younger because you're not aging as quickly as someone else who doesn't work on their chakras. And I fully believe this since 1998, which is almost like, 25 years ago now. I believe that. I feel tremendous right now. I feel like so much energy that I can't control it sometimes. I have to go and do stuff, run, walk, whatever it might be, to keep that energy going. And I think that's the key, my friends, to what we're focusing on. Trying to use energy in a positive way. You don't mind getting dominated by the other chakras, but don't get dominated, as Charles says, by the lower chakras, in which temptation, those type of things are things that are going to control you and kind of drag you around. We all make mistakes. Those things happen. But your life should be based more on the other chakras and working out, doing some weightlifting, eating the right foods, taking cold showers, all these things we should be doing to get away from thinking about that lower chakra. And that's the type of thing we're talking about. So in many senses, Charles is kind of saying the thing that we all should be listening to, right? That don't be dominated by your lower chakras. Be dominated by all the goals and things that you're focusing on. All right, my friends. Well, I hope you guys have a great Friday and continue to battle on. Thank you, Charles, for a great comment there. And we'll do one, I think, tomorrow from just me and finish up our pattern that we have here on jobs and retention. We'll talk about jobs a little bit and how that relates to retention and how success can be gained and opportunities can be gained the longer you retain. I obviously like that. The longer gains you get, the longer you retain. That's perfect. All right, my friends, have a great day today. And 2 things, remember. 1, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number 2, guys, always remember to battle